Welcome to the 1 year anniversary special of Two Average Husbands. I am your husband, Jake.
And I am your other husband, Kyle. And down below us, you've got the boyfriend, as this is like questionably, but particularly being called. So you can introduce yourself since you've been here before. People will probably know you, but I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, I'm boyfriend Jed. I was here a few weeks ago, and I'm absolutely honored to be back for the 1 year anniversary. Thanks for having me, guys.
We are.
I think when Jake and I, we are absolutely happy to have you. This will be a fun time again. But I think when Jake and I started this, it was kind of like we text each other and we're like, let's just do this kind of a thing, you know. And I don't know that we ever thought we were gonna even go for a year.
Yeah.
It was kind of just like hey, let's drink, we'll talk, we'll have some fun, and if it becomes something for us, then it does. And it hasn't really publicly become anything at all. Obviously, like this, our following isn't huge or anything like that. But that being said, we still have a lot of fun with this, so we're still doing it, and we're a year in, and it is almost to the day a year since we started.
Kyle says not huge, but between YouTube and streaming platforms, we have over 1,000 listens, and I think that's pretty cool. Considering we've
awesome,
really
man.
we haven't even done a year's worth of episodes doing one a week because we've had to take a couple breaks.
I've had to siesta a few different times. Yeah,
over 1,000 total streams, listens, views, whatever you want to call it, in a year. I'm gonna take that as a win.
Yeah, we've done pretty well, I think, for a little podcast of people just talking about stuff.
Especially because we've talked about literally all of this stuff.
But that's true. We have so much more to talk about.
We do.
So much more to talk about.
My list just gets longer every day.
It's the 1 year anniversary. We've got a special guest, and we're going to do some special beers. So, Jake, talk to us about what you're drinking this week.
So this is probably the most amount of money I've ever spent on a single beer.
Oh, sure.
I bought it a while ago, and honestly, I've been looking for a reason to drink it, and I think this is probably the best reason I could think of. So this is Hailstorm Brewing's bourbon barrel aged Vlad II, which is a maple stout that has been aged in bourbon barrels. It was like $30.
It's wax sealed.
It is wax.
Yeah,
it is
that was
wax
the part
sealed.
that got me.
It's wax sealed, and then under the wax is like a pop top too, as opposed to like it being a twist off or anything.
Yeah.
It is 1 pint. It is 12.1% alcohol, and we're gonna have ourselves a good little night, boys.
I'm excited.
Yeah, no kidding.
I have to use a
Jed,
knife
I'm going to let
open
you go
it, too.
second. Jed, we told Jed he couldn't just drink Jack Daniels, which is what he did last time. We told him we had to switch it up a little bit for this special.
Yeah, so I got fancy for a 1 year anniversary. All right. So for my gaming friends, they often know me on my online persona, which is Angels. That's been my gamer tag for years and years, well over a decade. And a buddy of mine bought me a bourbon, because I like bourbon so much, called Angel's Envy.
Yeah, Angel's
And
Envy is pretty good stuff.
It is one of the coolest bottles. I love how like long and lean it is. I love the angel wings on the back. But not only that, it is one of these smoother, like under $40 bottles of bourbon / whiskeys that you can get just straight out. And it's one of the only ones that I will drink like by the glass. I don't mix it. I don't cut it. I just drink it.
That's straight whiskey in that bad boy with just ice?
Yeah, bud.
That's a heavy pour, my man.
I was gonna say.
I'm excited for the
I didn't want to have to get up.
I respect it.
And
Yeah,
also
that's
I
great.
brought more just in case.
Oh, perfect.
So
It's like me at
So,
Ryan's house a
and-
couple weeks ago.
Angel's Envy. That's my that is my
And
I gotta get
Jake
fancy
can-
I'm gonna go to.
Jake will throw the comment on the screen here in a second when he gets to it, but Carly chimed in on the chat and said, Jed, you are an angel. So
I
there we
love
go.
your
Got it
wife
in the chat.
so much.
She's the best.
She's
All
the
right.
best.
Yeah. Oh, I
No
know.
offense, Jess. Love you.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh,
you heard it
and
from.
for Carl's, because I know she's watching
Oh,
it.
Simon's in the background. Look at
Simon
that.
Cam.
What's
He'll
up, Little
jump to the
Simon?
desk, don't worry.
All right, I'm last. I'm not home still, so I still don't have
Oh, no shit.
fun beers to drink for the most part. But I did go to a local brewery, so I've got Common Bond Brewers with the Scottish Ale, and they don't sell cans, so I had to make them get me a crowler. So I'm going to be drinking 32 ounces of this shit tonight.
Oh my God.
So we'll see how that goes.
Hey, I got a whole pint. I also
Yeah,
just
dude, you
sliced
guys
the
are
shit out of
killer.
my finger, by the way, opening this bottle up.
So Jake buys a $30 beer and then cuts himself trying to get it open.
Yeah, pretty standard. Pretty standard for me, honestly. How else would we celebrate our 1 year besides having to go to the hospital? Like, honestly. You guys' marriages aren't like that?
Oh man, if you like ducked out right now and you're like, I gotta go to the hospital, I would never let you live that down.
I know you wouldn't. It's not.
That would be so funny.
I don't know. It's a. I'll send you a picture of it later. It's
Dude,
pretty
just
solid.
melt the wax directly onto the
It
finger.
might be the
There
move.
you go. Seal it up with some wax.
I got a paper towel. We'll be fine.
Have Jess get you some glue.
Holy shit.
Carly threw another comment in the chat since Jake is now taking care of his own blood. Hi, big boy Simon.
Oh yeah. The biggest.
All right, so while Jake is tending to his wound, we usually make our guests go first because that's tradition, but we've also made Jed go first last time. So I will open it up to your opinion, Jed, on if you want to start or not this week.
Yeah, I remembered. I had like I came prepared with 3 based on time. I'm going to choose my like medium one for time because I would love to talk about the NFL and how absolutely absurd it is this year.
Yeah.
Wow. Holy smokes. I was at work when Tyreek Hill got traded today.
Same.
Just,
I got the notification on my watch, and I literally said, holy shit, out loud.
Yeah.
And like, my class was like, dude, are you okay? I was like, yeah, dude, I'm fine. Don't worry about it.
I was in Aruba when I found out my favorite player of all time, Devontae Adams, got traded.
Yeah,
That one
sucks.
hurt my effing soul. Congratulations to Raiders fans, by the way, I guess. That's all I'm going to say.
Congratulations to Aaron Rodgers for sucking up the entire fucking cap space of that team.
Well, you can say the same thing about Patrick Mahomes. That's when Tyreek wanted the bag and they couldn't give it to him.
Yeah,
that's the curse
absolutely.
of the $500 million quarterback. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. I am here, so I'll preface this like I prefaced my last topic. I am actually entering my last week of active military service. It has been 12 straight years of military service, and I have decided to change career fields. I'm going into the cyber world. I'm really excited about it. I'm going through Syracuse University to do so. And the whole reason I'm giving you this context, because it's been really on my mind about changing jobs, changing careers. I'm not the only one at my office that is interested in changing careers and going back to school to change their jobs. And in fact, it made me want to look it up. Over the last year, 21% of millennials, which is what the category we all fall into, have changed their job within the last year, like changed their straight up career in the last year.
Yeah.
And that made me want to dig further. 46% of Americans in total have either considered changing their careers or changed their careers over the last year based on census data. And so my topic for today is, what is the big thing? Like, what do you guys think that is the big driving factor as to why people are uprooting their careers and just saying, you know what, this is not for me, I'm out. Like I'm going to go do something that makes me happy or makes me more money, or I'm not settling, basically. Like, what's the attitude shift?
I'll happily go first on this one. And Jake,
Please.
Can you get Logan's comment off the screen? Because as much as I love Logan, it's just taking up
forgot about
Thank
it.
you.
For tending to a wound here.
So,
Corman.
Yeah. Why are people leaving the job market? It's a good topic, and I think to me, I think the answer is pretty simple. I think you saw a switch in the power dynamic of employee versus employer during COVID, and you saw a lot of people leaving the office space, right? And not every job could accommodate work from home style situations, and when they failed to do that, you lost a lot of your workforce, right? And so a lot of those positions needed to be filled, and so you now have this power switch from a limited number of spaces being, and a shitload of people trying to fill those spaces, right, over to the opposite, where now I have all these job openings and nobody wants them, right? And there's a lot of politics and like different things that go into the way that happened, and we don't even really need to go down that aisle, or otherwise, I mean, I will. I'm happy to talk about it, but I think the biggest thing is now you're seeing that the employee has the power to not only negotiate their own salary, but they're seeing a lot of job openings available in careers that they may or may not have wanted to potentially dive into, right, at some point in their life. So, if you were, for example, and I'll just use your situation as an example, right? Like, say before you started doing what you're doing now, if you had an interest in the cyber field, but maybe it was just too competitive to get into, or you needed a certain level of education or whatever it was, and now maybe those requirements have changed, and there's a lot more job openings, right? So it could be that they only require some level of experience lower than what was previously accepted because they need to fill these job slots. So you have a lot of leverage as the employee now seeking out that job. So I think it's, and I would encourage everybody to do this, but when you're trying to get a job now, I think you absolutely should be negotiating for salary and pay, even at like some of these lower level jobs, right? Like you have a lot more power and influence over the employer than you used to, and that doesn't always, and it's not going to stay that way for very long. I would very much expect to see that switch back and that dynamic changing. I don't know if you guys saw it. There was an email leaked on the internet today, and I can't, yeah, I can't verify the validity of that email or whatever. It was on Reddit or whatever it was, but an Applebee's manager, I think it was like a district manager, sent essentially like an employee all email out, and basically said, the economy is changing, gas prices are going up, and now we will be able to competitively give people less money to come work at Applebee's and exploit their hours more because the cost of living is going up and they're going to want to work more. And when they do that, we can pay them less money, which is like extraordinarily fucked up, right? But it got leaked and it's out there now from like a major corporation like that, or I don't know. I guess you might not call Applebee's a major corporation, but a big chain, right?
No, I'm almost positive they're Fortune 500, honestly.
If not them, like one of their ownership companies. But yeah, exactly what you're saying, Kyle. Like I'm in basically the exact same boat as Jed. Like this is my last full week of employment at my current employer, and then I'm switching industries.
Yeah.
Hey, all right, man, dude. We didn't even discuss that.
Yeah, this is completely.
That's the best thing about this podcast, man.
Exactly.
Dude,
but yeah,
what a coincidence.
One of the best things.
Yeah, so I'm also completely switching industries. I've been in higher education for basically my entire postgraduate or post-undergraduate professional career, and I'm switching to professional recruiting. And a lot of that was just I saw what the job offerings were currently and how the market has adapted to certain roles. And there's no point for me to continue to do my job, which, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with the work that I do, but I can save myself like 9 hours a week commuting. I can save myself just the stress of working in like higher education's in a decline, and working in that industry is stressful enough as it is, versus going to recruiting for a company that's expanding like crazy within its space. It's like a grocery retailer that is adding 100, like announced in December, January of this year, that they're adding 100 stores on top of what they already have. Like why would I stay in a dying industry when I have the opportunity to not only get a better work opportunity for my lifestyle, a more competitive salary comparatively, and just work from home? Like I think COVID really showed everybody like going into the office for a lot of roles is a waste of time. And for my role, it was a waste of time, and there's no point for me to continue doing the work that I was doing when I can do almost identical work professionally as opposed to academically. And just I don't have to commute. I save, even if my salary is exactly the same between the two jobs, the money I save between commuting each week. I only commuted 3 days a week, but like I said, it was still 9 hours of driving each day. That's a full work day that I'm driving. Not each day, each week. 9 hours each week. Basically 3 hours each day. It's depending on the route that I take, anywhere from a 40 to 70 mile commute. Like whether I'm trying to avoid traffic or just drive for the same amount of time, just longer. And then wear and tear on my car, eating out, just when I stop at the gas station, like getting like a snack or a drink or something there, like all the money I'm saving from that, even if I'm making the exact same amount of dollars, I'm getting a raise essentially. And just knowing that I'm going to be in an industry that's going to be around much longer, is known for paying better. Like professional recruiting pays a lot better than academic recruiting does. Like there's just so many benefits now that are, I think, just to it being readily available through websites like LinkedIn, Glassdoor, finding out more about employers and getting like actually understanding what you're getting yourself into in a way that you couldn't ever really do before. I think there's so many factors that are playing into it, and that's why we're seeing so many people doing it. Like the recruiting field that I'm going into, it's probably the largest industry in the world right now. Like honestly.
I'm actually really jealous of you guys because if I was at an opportunity, I think this is, and I shit you not, I think this is one of the only opportunities that we might have in our lifetimes to see a window like this where you have such a true and fast power dynamic switch in terms of your leverage, like the ability for you as an employee to leverage your position. Because, most of the time when, especially as a relatively young person trying to enter a different career field, you don't have a lot of experience or, relevant things that you can bring to that job market. that can help you leverage your salary or your working conditions or your benefits or all these things that we've already been talking about, right? And then, you're at this weird juncture in time where employers can't be that stringent on that anymore. They just have to get people in that they can trust to come in and do the job, or be willing to learn, right? Like, you need to, maybe you don't have the same level of education that we've borrowed in previously, but you're willing to learn from somebody, and we can, pair you up with somebody else and learn on the job. So I think if you have ever considered changing career fields and like you've been hesitant about it, I think you are running out of time to seize this opportunity to not only do that switch, but get paid well to do it, competitively at least.
Well, we're also seeing now too, like a lot more employers are putting emphasis on experience, like actual professional experience, or the willingness to learn, more so than even having a college degree. Like I know a ton of people are going into tech fields, going into analyst roles, who don't have a career or a degree in computer science or finance or statistics or any actuarial science or anything like that. There's so many resources out there now. Like I can go online right now. I could teach myself how to code. I could probably get a job doing it, having never taken a college class in it. Like there's opportunities like that now that never existed before.
I don't disagree with you. I do think technology is a part of this. Obviously, I think you bring in a lot of tech into the consideration, and you start thinking about the ease of access of information and self-training and self-learning and all these things. And I do agree with you. I think tech is a little bit of a niche industry in that, like, because it is so, like, the level of information in the tech industry is so available that I think it is one of those places where if that's where you want to go, I think it's a little easier to do that than it is in some of the other fields.
But even like the field that I'm going into of professional recruiting, half the jobs that are listed that I look at on LinkedIn don't even require a college degree. It's literally like 0 to 2 years experience, high school diploma or GED, and a willingness to learn. Like those are the requirements.
Yeah, which is great.
Or like if you have a retail sales background, they weigh that. Like, there's a lot of opportunities and a lot of careers that you can now go into where you don't need the same training that you did before. And that's kind of been my whole thing anyway, is wherever you go is going to spend a bunch of time training you anyway. Almost no roles anymore. I say that having been in this exact situation that I'm saying doesn't happen, but most industries don't just throw you into a role and expect you to survive. Like they're going to train you. They are going to make sure that you have the tools that you need to succeed. Yeah. And like
I've experienced a lot of that, which is why I have to laugh about it.
Yeah.
I know what you're getting at. So yes. Jed, it's your topic though. Let's hear what you have to say about it.
I think you guys both nailed. Honestly, I was going to bring two arguments to the process. One, it was a switch in the power dynamic, and the other one was the individual empowerment.
Yeah.
And you guys both spoke to the individual points. So I'm not going to beat a dead horse. I just want to say, like, from my personal experience, it's been both. It's been both. And I think for a lot of people, it's been both. If it was one or the other, I don't know if I would have made the switch.
Yeah.
But I'm staring down the barrel of a nice pivot point where I was recently married. I know I'm a boyfriend here, but I was, married within the last year, and I'm now in a position where my spouse can support our household income, so I can go to school for 4 months.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to school. I'm going through Syracuse University. It is a professional certificate program.
Yep.
It is for industry certificates. It is not going to be a Syracuse degree.
Right.
And when I talk to career counselors and career mentors, everyone there says it's about experience, it's about certificates, having a bachelor's is just as a way to get your name, in the applicant pool sometimes, but it's not always necessary.
Yeah, I think the certificate thing is a relatively new thing, and maybe I'm crazy and that isn't, but I feel like that is like a very new thing to the education world.
The emphasis on them,
that's fair,
skyrocketed over the last few years,
which is interesting because when you think about it, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. The certificates historically, there was a lot more emphasis on like manufacturing, project management, those kind of things that didn't necessarily require a necessarily ton of technology, like machinery, for example. Like there was certificates for machinery and things like that were basically subcategories of like engineering. Just as an example, but they were like, you would go to a trade school, get your certificate, and then you would go into the trade. The emphasis has been a lot more on the computer aspect of it, the the professional aspect of it is really expanded past manufacturing. Is all I was gonna say.
Yeah, I think I lost my train of thought here now. But the thing that I was going to say is that your professional educational degrees, right, like your bachelor's degrees, specifically if you're going to like a more liberal arts school, there's so much fluff in there, right?
Dude,
so the fact that you're moving towards a certificate anyway makes so much sense to me.
Yeah,
like that honestly is what a degree should be anyway.
I took a baseball class in my undergrad. Like that was
what I'm saying. Like if you're not going for like if you don't know what you want to do and you're going for like a general education degree or like a gen ed degree or whatever,
that's what I got, baby. That's what I got.
I get the the fluff piece there because you don't know what you want to do, so it's giving you exposure. But if you know what you want to do, then a certificate makes so much more sense.
Yeah,
so I want to read a couple of these comments off too because I have to think about the fact that this is mostly audio for most people and they don't actually see what's on the screen. So going back a couple, Carly said that as for me, I'm a nurse by trade, but not doing nursing because nurses are being treated like shit, and the pandemic has exposed that toxicity, which is huge too, right? Like I think the pandemic was a highlighter for a lot of industries in terms of kind of pointing out some of the problems that were there, or increasing the intensity of some problems that were already dormant in the industry because of just the switch in terms of atmosphere that COVID created.
But even on that note though, like nurses even found a way to kind of take some of that power dynamic back by the increase of the need for travel nurses. And I've heard stories of where I worked at previously was an undergraduate school that was very well known for nursing, and I've heard like friends that went to the school there. They've talked about how they're making 8x what their salary would have been because they're travel nursing, and they get to they're out in like Oregon now working at a random hospital that's paying them $8,000 a month to be a nurse there for 6 months, and then they can renegotiate their contract or go somewhere else that they want to go. Like even that, like at the beginning of the pandemic, they were definitely being treated like shit, and even with the travel nurses, we see them treated like shit too. Like we see like nurses who the hospital tries to change their contract after they start and stuff like that.
Yep.
And a lot of those people are just like, okay, bye. I'll go to a different contract now.
How about not supplying proper PPE in the middle of the pandemic?
Yeah.
Dude, that, and like I think one of what Jake was kind of just driving at too a little bit is like one of my favorite things about all this like this power switch and like the pandemic-y style employment, right, is that it's so easy now for you. Like if you're in a job that you do not like or like that isn't giving you what you want, and you're like, hey, this is what I need in order to stay in this job, and they're like, no, and you're like, I'm leaving today.
Yeah.
It's funny because like there's a lot of boomers, to generalize this a little bit, but I think there's a lot of boomers and like people in the older generations, right, that are going like, what about the 2-week notice? And that courtesy is fucking gone.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like I think people still probably do it for the most part.
It certainly can be.
I gave my employer basically a month of notice.
Which I think I'm not trying to say like people are just shitty now. Like I think that people do try to do that, right? If you like your job but you're just moving on or whatever, I think people are still trying to be courteous and give notice, but you don't need to, right?
Yeah,
There's nothing ever. It's not illegal for you to just walk the fuck out. Like
if your boss is being a dick,
you know what I mean?
If your boss is being a dick, fucking leave. Like and I think that's like, maybe this is a good point, like a good place to wrap the topic is like the power is back in our hands as employees. Yeah. Like the employers no longer, for now, right? So take advantage of that. Take advantage of those. If you want to take a contract job for a year because that contract job pays 2-3x whatever your normal salary is, like even in the recruiting world, that's a very common thing. You could go work for a company for a year and they're going to pay you almost double what they would pay like a traditional full-time employee. Like there's so many things that play to the employee's favor right now. Like now is the perfect time to take advantage of that. Like I am, like Jed is, like Kyle may sometime down the road. Like you never know, but there's options that are there that weren't there before, and it's important to recognize that and to have these conversations.
Yeah, and Uncle Kyle, just to not leave him out of the comments too, he said that his some fellow truck drivers were having some conversation similar to this today, and he as a trucker has a technical certificate, right, to do his job. So like you learn what you need to do the job, right, which does definitely make some sense. Checking in.
Wow.
That the 2-week notice is rare.
Because they're just gonna well, no, that's so true. Like I had a job where I put in a 2-week notice. They're like, we'll just pay you for your last 2 weeks. Get out of here.
I'm surprised they haven't paid you, frankly.
I told them I was gonna show up if they weren't gonna pay me, so kind of forced their hand.
I'm just surprised they offered it, right? You know what I mean?
Well, I was like, I'm gonna work for 2 more weeks.
On you, yeah. Yeah,
Good
sure.
for you.
All right, sweet. Great topic, Jed. Anything else anybody wants to throw in there before we switch on? All right, I went first last week, which means it is 100% to you for number 2. What is your topic today for the 1-year anniversary?
For the 1-year anniversary.
We're gonna see how many times we can fit in 1-year anniversary into this conversation.
Somebody I'll
Which anniversary?
1 year. Just
Oh,
one.
1 year. Okay.
This is the 1-year anniversary.
Oh, Raj.
By the way, everybody, I upgraded from the paper towel that was stopping my bleeding to a Band-Aid. My lovely wife brought me a Band-Aid, so we're doing great over here.
Oh, she
Thank
did
you,
stealth
lovely wife.
like too, man.
She did. Well,
I
the
saw it.
door
I
is
saw
right
it.
here, so I literally just had to be
Yeah.
like,
I saw the reach. I'll be honest. I saw the reach. Kyle was talking.
it happens. So I want to talk about what are some things from your childhood that you like. This was an integral part of your experience growing up, but you think a lot of people that either listen to this podcast or will listen to this podcast or just in general don't probably know about. I'll give you an example.
Oof, yeah. Let me get an example.
So my friends and I, when we were younger, mostly us athletes were all baseball players. We played this card game called MLB Showdown. It was a dice and card game where you played a game of baseball with dice, different players. In fact, in a second, once one of you starts talking about your topic, I'll run and grab a couple of the cards to show them because I have them right over here. But it was a card game where like the pitchers had certain amount of points and there was a specific way to play the game, right? But this was like huge in my area. And there was like an eBay market for this because that's where we bought players that were really good. Like this was a big thing for a couple years and then it just disappeared. And if I talk about it, I guarantee nobody here, I guarantee neither of you know what I'm talking about. Logan, who's watching tonight, knows what I'm talking about because I used to beat him all the time, as his comment on the screen says. But like it was such an integral part of me growing up. Like we started a club at our elementary school for this game. This was like 2005. And it's just not been a thing since. But Ryan and I, shout out Ryan, are trying to make this a comeback. We're trying to make it a thing again. Bring back MLB Showdown 2022.
Dude, it sounds like you're playing sports Dungeons and Dragons, and I just want to let you know I support it.
Hold on. So here's just a
Does it
random
not sound
stat.
like sports Dungeons and Dragons?
It kind of is. You play with the 20-sided die.
Oh, it's sports Dungeons and Dragons, bro.
But like, okay,
all right.
so
Hold
like
on.
here's the pitcher. So this
All right.
6+ is
And
their control. So I'll show you a batter too. So this batter, he has an 11 on base. So as the pitcher, you start the turn by rolling. You roll the die. If your number plus your control is greater than the on base of the batter, you get to then roll again to determine the outcome of the at bat. And then so if you get real close here, it's like foul, fly, put out, strikeout, ground ball, fly ball, walk, single, double, home run. So then based off of what was rolled next would be the outcome. So if you were the pitcher and you won, but then you rolled a 20, the other guy would get to hit a double. So then that batter would go to second base. But as the batter, you have the same thing. So you have like up to a certain number. So like for this A-Rod card, up to a 6 was an out, but 7 through 19, you were getting on base or hitting a home run. So like it was just exactly. I've got
Let's
a bunch
play.
of the. All right,
Pitch to me.
all right. Roll. So roll the die.
All right.
What do we get?
18.
All right, 18. So it's in the pitcher's hand. So you are pitching to me, and so now roll it again.
All right. 8.
8. So 8 would be a strikeout. So I'm out. So it now goes to my next batter.
Idiot. Oh,
And
dude,
you-
first
but-
try. Let's go.
And
oh,
then
Idiot. So
baby.
much better at this than you.
And
Oh,
you
we're bringing this back.
you play this exactly like you play a game of baseball. It is 9 innings, 3 outs an inning.
Holy
Most runs at the end of the game wins. And then also like each of the players right here has a certain number of points that are assigned to them. You have 5.
Are these real players or is it like
Yes.
made up names?
These were
No,
like
it was
actual.
A-Rod.
These were actual Major League Baseball players. This was a licensed product. You have 5,000 points to build your team. You have to have all 9 positions plus a DH. I think you get a couple bench players, and then you had 4 starting pitchers and a reliever. Like for your 4 starting pitchers, it'd be 1 through 5, 6 through 10. At the beginning of the game, you'd roll the die, whichever number you landed on, that would be what starting pitcher you had to use for that game. Like, and there was even like parts of the game that we never did. Like extra like added bonuses that you could get and stuff like that we just ignored because it was too Dungeons and Dragons-y for us athletes. Which looking back at it now, we were playing baseball Dungeons and Dragons.
You're playing baseball Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
but like this was an integral part of my childhood that nobody knows about. So I want to know what are some things like that for y'all.
I've got one. Well, I've actually got 3 listed here now, but I'll
more
start with
lame
one.
than D&D.
Logan is a very avid DM. So if we ever want to play, like Logan can DM a session for us.
Can we play Husbands and Dragons? Can we play Husbands and
I'm
Dragons?
in.
Oh
We have-
my god.
Guys, I found a YouTube video. We're gonna start a series, Husbands and
Holy
Dragons.
shit. Oh my
brilliant.
god.
We're making this happen. This is official.
Dude, I
That
love
being said,
D&D.
though, I gotta remember on exactly what the name of it is now because I'm blanking, and Carly maybe can just go look at it for me. But there is a Star Wars version of Dungeons and Dragons
Yes,
that
there
I
is.
played with some friends, and I enjoyed that way more than regular Dungeons and Dragons. So
I
that's it.
played that.
Too bad we're playing Husbands and Dragons.
Husbands and Dragons it is. All right, I've got one, and I think this one's a little bit more broadly scoped. Like I think you two will have heard of this for sure, but I think beyond you two, it would be hard for me to guess what the audience has or has not heard about this. But I can tell you that I think from about I don't know, 4th to maybe 6th grade, I spent probably 20 hours a week at least going to the library to play this game because I didn't have internet at my house. And so I went to the library every day after school, and I would stay there from after school until close every single day, which it closed at 9 p.m. And my mom would come pick me up after that because I didn't have internet in my house and I wanted to play this game. So I invested a large chunk of 3 school years of my life into this game. And that game, my friends, is RuneScape.
Yep.
Oh my god.
RuneScape was my life
That's
for
awesome.
the better part of 3 years.
I found out very recently that Jess used to play RuneScape like religiously.
It's still active. It's still
I know.
active
I have my
community.
account still from when I was a
Oh
kid.
my god.
I don't.
I logged in
but-
with like my old ass credentials, and I was like, I wonder if this is still it. And at the time, it was like my first dog's name as my password, and so I like entered it, and I was like, oh my god, I'm in. So
Like
my
holy
account-
shit, it worked.
You
Yeah.
hacked your own matrix.
yeah.
That's awesome.
But yeah, RuneScape was lit.
For those that don't know, RuneScape is like an MMORPG, but it's like
It's like 8-bit. It's more than 8-bit.
It was WoW
but
before
it's better
WoW.
than that now. So like RuneScape Classic is what it's called now, is what like I played when I was growing up. That game was more of like closer to an 8-bit, like the graphics weren't great. But now they have RuneScape 3, which is like a more full graphical experience for a game. It's also way more complex, and they charge you $100 a year to fucking play it if you really want to play it. So
I mean, I
not
spent
really worth it.
$120 on games last week, so that's
Yeah,
If
but
you're just gonna play
RuneScape is like,
RuneScape.
I don't know, man. Anyway, every once in a while, I'll just like go log in and be like, haha, it still works. Like it's probably downloaded on my laptop right now if I looked.
It's definitely not downloaded on my computer, I'll tell you that much.
No.
Yeah, it's on my
I
laptop.
think the last time I probably even logged into RuneScape was probably like 2010. Like it's been a long time.
Yeah. I used to play it when I'd go on some work trips because like my internet was always really shitty, and that
I remember
would load
that.
on the shitty internet, so I'd play that sometimes. But yeah,
I see it
that
in
game
Discord.
was ridiculous. I played that game so much, and I loved it. I got delved into the universe that was that. I found it competitive. My friends would play, and we'd like fight for like who could be the
So
best and get
fun.
the best levels. We had a ton of
So
fun with that
fun.
game. I loved it. So I
Dude,
don't know
you
who
could
has and
play-
hasn't heard of that, but
You can play the crappiest game in the world. If your boys are on and you're having fun, it doesn't matter.
yeah.
It's so much fun.
I played this game that was like, it was called like Santa's Cleanup Crew or something like that. But it was Viscera
Yeah.
Cleanup Crew. But it was a game where like, essentially the premise was like Santa slaughtered his whole workshop, and you were elves that were going around the workshop cleaning it, and that was literally the whole purpose of the game. But it was literally like, it was like 4 of my idiot friends and I, and we're in there, and you can like, there's bombs that you can set off to make the mess worse. So like we get so close to being done, and then somebody be an asshole and then like blow up half the building, so then we'd have to start all over. It was just, and it was like this got streamed. Like we had like hundreds of viewers because of one of the people that we played with streamed it. And so there was probably like 700 or 800 people who were like watching us, interacting with us, and like just like convincing us to do dumb shit in the game. It was insane. But exactly what you're saying, like when the boys are on, anything goes. You can play anything and it'll work.
my most recent When the Boys Are On game. It was Battle Royales for a long, long time, but I think we just kind of got a little bored of them. My most recent one was Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare. Hopping onto Plants
I
vs.
can't
Zombies
remember
with
if
the
it was you,
boys.
Jake, that made me play that. Somebody made me play that at one point in time, and I can't remember.
Maybe
it was like okay. There was like a trial that was out for it at the time, and I could play for free or whatever it was.
I think it was me because Connor was playing it at the time. Our friend Connor was playing it, and I think I was playing it with him, and so I got you to download it. And we maybe played it twice, but also Overcooked.
Overcooked. I love Overcooked. I have it here. If you want to play with me, let me know, and I can hop on.
I'm just saying. I work from home Friday.
Hell yeah. I don't know. I'm afraid that I'm gonna miss the mark on this one, but as far as like childhood things that I know other kids didn't necessarily understand was my mom would babysit a lot of the neighborhood kids, and we didn't have a ton of money, but during the summers we would have like 8 to 10 kids that my mom would babysit at a time, right? Like within 5 years of each other, you know, like 5 to 10 years old, you know, at some point. And we had limited resources, but very active imaginations. And so my contribution to your topic is creating competition out of nothing.
Yeah.
So, for example,
nothing and everything all at the same time.
What came to mind, we had a creek that ran through our backyard, and it was usually pretty low, except for in the spring. So once the summer hit, it got kind of low, but there was a ton of salamanders, and there was a ton of crayfish, like the tiny little crab dudes.
Crawdads,
and we would do a competition to pick up rocks and find the most crayfish, the most salamanders, the most snakes, the most like creepy crawly things we could possibly find under rocks, earthworms, all of it. And we would have competitions for like who got the most of each category, who found the biggest one in each category, and we would this was all unbeknownst to my mom because we would use like our sand pails or like 5-gallon buckets or whatever. And one day my mom saw us down in the creek. She's like, hey, what are you guys doing? So she had like 6 or 8 kids run up to her with just a bucket full of creepy crawlies each, and she just about lost her fucking mind. She was so not okay with this competition. And I just remember thinking, like, what's the big deal? I won. I got the biggest snake. She's like, what are you doing? Get that out of here. So
Jake, take Logan's comment off, please. You're doing terrible today.
You know what?
But
it's
also,
1 year anniversary.
Boyd,
Do what I
welcome
want.
to the podcast.
It's 1 year anniversary, dude.
It's 1 year anniversary.
On Jed's note, though, I think like living next to a creek is like a huge thing, like for growing up. Like if you didn't grow up next to a creek, like you said, and I think back on this sometimes, and it still blows my mind a little bit that I grew up without the internet.
Yeah,
I didn't have internet in my home until middle school, maybe.
We had it even when I was like really young because my dad had to have it for like work purposes, but I never really used it until middle school, early high school, even. Like
dude, we are
that generation that's on the.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But anyway, you'd get creative, right? Like you went outside and like we would just hang out by the creek and get muddy and do stupid shit.
We would play sports in our friends' backyards with such arbitrary boundaries and like the dumbest fucking rules. Like we would play baseball in my friend's backyard. Couldn't use baseballs because we could hit it to people's houses, but we would use those once we got older, and the tennis balls no longer went short enough.
Rip tennis balls?
We would just so for context, my friend had trees in his backyard that were probably like 60 or 70 feet tall. So we couldn't really like get them over the trees until we were older. But like we had a rule where if you hit a ball into the tree, the defenders had like 30 seconds to climb the tree and get the ball. Like the pitcher had a stopwatch and had to start it.
Oh my God.
And you had to just trust that the pitcher was starting it on time to climb the tree to get the ball and get back down. So this led to like the pitcher being like 5, 4 and people just yeeting themselves 15 feet out of trees, like just to try and get one out. Like you have a whole game to play. This kid just sprained his ankle jumping 20 feet out of a tree.
That's so
like,
funny.
But like that was the shit that happened when we were we one time like were super bored, so we went to this in the winter. It's a sledding hill, but in the summer it's just a dirt fucking hill. We went there with wagons. And we would see who could go the longest on the wagon without falling, standing up, sliding down this hill. Like,
wait, dude, were you like riding it like Sinbad, like just like surfing it down?
Yes, like you were standing.
Yes.
You had to pull the wagon thing up and be holding onto that. It was like riding a bull where you'd have one hand on, one hand off. Couldn't use the second one. It was just straight up chaos. But this was just like. This was what we did as children. And that's why I wanted to talk about this topic, because there's always great stories about shit we did as kids.
Dude, I have so many now, and some of them are like things that like aren't like necessarily fitting your topic. It's just nostalgia things that you guys are making me think of. And Uncle Kyle did chime in the chat and say AOL Instant Messenger, which was
100%.
huge.
100%.
And like I think if you weren't a part of that generation, you definitely do not understand how pivotal that was of a moment, because it was obviously post internet coming into people's homes, but it was pre cell phone. Right, so this is how you communicated with your friends. You'd come home and you'd hop on AOL Instant Messenger and you'd chat after school with your friends or whatever. And then MSN Messenger was, I think, a quick fall off after that. And then when cell phones came around, you got texting and BlackBerry Messenger and all that shit. But AOL Instant Messenger like really bridged the gap in communication for a while. It was like the first time you didn't have to call your friends on the landline.
Oh yeah,
to figure out what you were gonna do. You could just
that was AIM was lit. What was your first AIM username?
Ooh,
oh my god,
I remember mine. It was so dumb. I
remember mine.
It was Pizza Sticks 3.
Oh, I think
because pizza sticks were my favorite lunch in middle school, and you got 3 of them. I was so creative as a child.
I have no idea.
I am going to regret putting this out on the ether.
No, you're not.
I was
probably. Not.
I was obsessed with basketball from like 4th grade until like 5 years ago. I loved basketball, every facet of it. And this was back when saying things like "fashizzle" was cool, and so
Fashizzle 6'9". I know it's coming.
No, my because my last name is Boswell. My username was Bizzleballer 43.
That goes hard. That stands up till today. Uncle Kyle still uses his AIM username as his email to this day.
That's funny.
You got to get off AOL, man. It's
you do need to get off AOL. You're a little behind the times, Uncle Kyle.
Still better than Hotmail. Let's be honest.
My wife uses Hotmail. I just got her a Gmail account. It blew her mind.
We had a Google sheet at work with like our emergency contacts in it, and I put my wife's Yahoo email in there, and people came to me like, "Is your wife 80? Is your wife retired?"
Carly still has a Yahoo, but she also like has a Gmail now. She's adapted.
Jess.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say Jess finally upgraded to Gmail as well, so it was nice to change that in the spreadsheet.
It's funny how that goes, right? Like if you don't have the blue text message, you're a piece of shit. If you haven't switched to Gmail, then you're a fucking loser. You know what I mean? Like the amount of like harassment you get for not going into like a specific category of messaging is just hilarious.
Yeah.
Lightning round. What's the worst email you've ever seen on a work distro?
Do you want to know what my childhood email was? Because that might be the worst.
All right, go ahead.
azkabanp@hotmail.com. Big Harry Potter guy.
Apparently. I'm going to go with, this isn't work related, but Logan's email, Logan, who's in the chat right now listening to this podcast, his was madcheese30. Don't know where that came from.
Respect.
The cheese was mad though. Professionally though, like, I used to get emails from students, and when I worked undergrad admissions at a school, it was high school students. So there would be like Master Slayer 42.0 at yahoo.com, and I'm like, okay, you're never gonna get like why did you put this down as your email? Like, just make another one.
They're free. You can have as many as you want.
You can take one email and put the period in the email in every single different spot, and it counts as a new email. Like, come on.
A woman at work. I still
Mad Cheese numbers 1. He's not kidding
100.
when he said 1 through 100.
Yeah,
he's
I'm ready
not
for
kidding.
This guy to DM for us. The worst one, the one I asked, there was a girl at work. She was like a pretty high-ranking individual, and her emergency contact email was like devilrockerchick666@hotmail.com, and it blew my mind as the worst email I've ever seen in my entire life.
That's
I don't see
amazing.
that many work related. I should start paying more attention to like email chains.
You got to do it when
Yeah.
you're in charge of a distro one day. You just gotta be like, okay, I need everyone's email, and you just be stunned at this stupid shit people put
Yeah,
on
I believe
professional
that.
distros. It's
See,
amazing.
Yeah.
For me, I don't have too many experiences like that though, because working at a school, everybody's just at school.edu. So like you rarely have the opportunity to see those like just dumb fucking emails.
That's kind of how I was.
Prepare
right?
yourself,
like, I used
recruiter man.
I up until, so I guess that's not true. I had my azkabanp@hotmail.com until I got one through like my local utility company, and then it was just my name. So I guess I didn't have that cheesy ass one for very long, but I was a real big Harry Potter guy. But anyway, I've got to throw out some other ones now that you guys, and I'm going to start rapid firing these because we're running out of time.
We can go long. It's the 1 year anniversary.
It's a 1 year anniversary, Kyle.
It is the 1 year anniversary.
We can go a little
We
long.
can go another year.
It is the 1 year anniversary.
Yeah, we're doing an episode for 1 year straight. Hope you
Yeah.
guys are ready.
It's funny because
Bottle.
this is one that I hear more from people from Iowa than I do say so myself. But people in Iowa will swear that you didn't have like your growing up moment in the Midwest unless you detasseled corn.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what detasseling corn
That was an
is,
Illinois
because
thing, too.
I can
Is
see
it
the
just
confused
shucking?
look on. No, it's not
No.
shucking corn. So detasseling corn is typically done by teenagers in Iowa, and that's why like they call it your like rite of passage, right? As you grow up in Iowa, like at least my family did, and a lot of other people I know did too. But what you do is you go with a company like Pioneer or some other small company, right? And they take you in like a school bus, essentially like an old school bus, and they drive you out to a cornfield. And you literally walk through a cornfield row by row by row all day fucking long, all summer long. And if you're looking at a piece of corn, and I've got some Kleenex over here, so I'll just show you. If you're looking at like the top of a piece of corn, right? There's this thing that sticks out the top of a corn stalk as it's growing. And so you just walk down the row and you go pop. And when you pull the tassel out the top of a corn, which by the way, you're pulling all the tassels out of the female plants so the males can pollinate them.
Yeah, it's a
But
pollen thing.
when you pull the tassel out, it literally makes this loud ass pop sound. So you just hear pop, 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 pop all day long, all fucking summer long until you're done detasseling. So yeah, it's very similar to like a snapping, popping sound like that. So it's a rite of passage. It's a Midwestern thing.
We
You can keep it.
yeah, it was very much a Midwestern thing because we did it in Illinois too.
It was like one of the first jobs you could get though, like as a teenager, because they would hire you at 14.
Yeah.
And so you could go at 14 and go work out in these, and you'd make minimum wage, but you worked long hours, so you'd actually make decent money over the summer.
Did you guys ever do like a camping trip in school? We had this it was called Laredo Taft. I think it's still open in Illinois, but it was just like some random compound in the middle of nowhere that they would take us fifth graders to, and that was like you were if you didn't go to Laredo Taft, like you were ostracized. Like people did not like you if you did not go to this trip, which of course sucks for the people who couldn't afford to go to it because it was like
Money,
500.
yeah.
It was like $500. It wasn't like a crazy amount of money,
Oh,
but
my
like,
parents wouldn't have paid for that.
Yeah,
we
my
couldn't
parents-
afford that for shit.
My parents almost didn't, but I
Yeah.
convinced them to, and it was a good thing because it was really fun. But also, like there's like just a lot of crazy stories, even from that week of doing that. But
We never did anything like that. We just go on field trips, but we never went on
did you guys do like
an overnight trip.
the tour of the town near your school? We would go to we would go to all the small businesses, and like in Sugar Grove, where I went to elementary school, there was like we would go to the hair cuttery. Not hair. It wasn't like the hair cuttery brand, but
Cuttery.
like
That cottery.
that's a brand.
Hair cuttery.
That was a brand.
Get your haircut
Anyways,
for a nickel down at the hair cuttery.
Predates the barber shop because that's
hair cuttery is a brand. Like
Did you
there's
guys hear
literally a
about the-
brand.
terminology.
Did you hear about
Barbershop
the-
goes back to like thousands of I don't know how long. Hundreds.
You guys go down to the public square and listen to the hair cuttery trio? I hear they're getting kicked out of town by the barbershop quartet next week.
Fuck you, Jed.
That was pretty good. That was good. Yeah, I like that.
But like we went to the salon, we went to like the pizza place in town, the auto body shop, the karate dojo. Like this was a field
Dude, if
trip
I worked
for
at
us.
like an auto shop and I had a bunch of fucking kids from like the school come through, I'd be get the fuck out of here. We have shit to do. Like, I would
You
be
didn't
so
go,
annoyed.
bro, in small town Sugar Grove at the time,
Yeah.
maybe 4,000, no, not even, maybe 2,000 total people. That was the most exciting part of their Wednesday.
All right, I've got some more to rapid fire. You
Seeing all
ready?
those kids at the hat cuttery.
Shut the
Down
fuck
at
up.
the hand of coloring. I think another big one, a pivotal one, is newspaper routes. I don't know if like anybody else did a newspaper route, but
No.
I never
I
did.
had to, as like a 12-year-old. No, maybe even younger than that. I think I started when I was 10. Like the newspaper company hired me when I was 10 years old, and I was responsible for delivering newspapers on usually Saturday and Sunday morning was I think my only route. I don't think I did it during the week. But I'd have to wake up at like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and have people's newspaper delivered to all their houses on this route by like 7 a.m. Like that was like the cutoff. It had to be delivered by then. So I did a newspaper route. I got paid absolutely no fucking money for this. I don't even know how it was legal. I got paid like $30 a
Wasn't.
week to go do
I'll
this.
give you a hint. It wasn't legal.
It probably wasn't legal, pal.
I don't know, man, but I got paid. I probably cash. Fucking, I don't know. But anyway, it was a very common thing to do a newspaper route when I was younger. I'll throw out a few more really quick. So Jed talked about getting in the creek. Our creek led right to a sewer, so we used to crawl in the sewers.
Oh my God.
So like,
Can't say we did that.
No,
So, you know
that
when you're
wasn't my
like-
creek.
you know when you're like driving, and I say sewer, but what I really mean is like a
Like a
a
storm
road
drain?
runoff. Yeah, like
Okay.
a storm drain. Yeah. So you'd go. You know when you're driving on the highway, you see those giant concrete like cylinders that they like bury in the ground for
Oh yeah.
running water. It was huge, right? So we could literally crawl in them, and we'd walk down all of these things, and we'd find our way all the way to the road. And you could get up into like this roadside grates and like sit there and look at cars, like the fucking like throw the red balloon out type thing, you know?
Yeah, dude. I was gonna say you sound like Pennywise.
Yeah. So we used to do that. Home movies, huge part of my childhood.
Yes.
Not
Oh,
a thing
yeah.
anymore. Home movies were huge.
Yeah.
Yep.
The cameras were the video recorders were about as big as my monitor.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
weighed about 10 times as much at least.
Facts.
We already talked about like just making up games, so I won't go into any more of those. Did you ever play My Coke World? You know what
Yep.
I'm talking about when I say that?
Yep.
My
I
Coke
do.
World was wild. That
It
might have been
was.
like the first like sexual predator paradise.
Facts.
Okay,
So
well,
like
I'm
My
glad I
Coke
didn't
World.
play.
The
what
number
you
of
would do is-
ASLs I got.
Yes, right. So you'd create an avatar essentially, right? And then you'd walk around in this world, and it was kind of like the Omegle of not having video chat. Like you just get into like a room and talk with people. It was basically chat rooms, right, with an avatar.
Yeah.
But like there was no like way for them to restrict access to this. So there's probably like 70-year-old dudes like soliciting people. Like I don't. It was. I look back on that and cringe at how creepy that entire concept was. But it was sponsored by Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
Coca-Cola
It was
owned this.
It was literally a Coke brand thing. And then they had like My Coke rewards, where if you bought Coke
Yeah.
products, you could enter the code and get points to either buy stuff in the world or
Yeah.
get like Coke merchandise in real life.
So you'd get like Coke furniture in the game and shit, and like there was
Yeah.
like rare Coke furniture that you could trade and sell.
So I remember the Coke Rewards program, but I never had the chat room.
Google it
Never
sometime.
had the chat.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
You
Google
should.
My
It's
Coke
funny.
World. Look into it. There's
No.
probably some funny YouTube videos about it now.
There
Maybe it's
is,
even
yeah.
still like an active server. I have no idea.
I-
And
I
then
don't wanna
the
end
only
up on
other
a list,
one.
man.
Yeah, yeah, no shit. We're probably a little too old to try to dabble into My Coke
Your
World.
mustache says don't go to that room.
The last one I have on my list is Belagarth. Do you guys know what Belagarth is?
Yes.
Oh my god.
So if you
It's
don't
like
know
you're
what
saying a different
Belagarth,
language.
if
It's
you don't know what
LARPing.
Belagarth is, it is LARPing. It is
It's
like
LARPing.
it might be one of the OG LARPs, and it's
We had
so
a-
huge. I looked it up to make sure I had the name right before I talked about this, and there's a Belagarth.com that is like huge, but basically it's like a medieval LARP, right?
Yeah.
Where you go out and you have these foam swords, and like if you got hit in the, it's have you ever seen what's the movie?
Monty Python and the Holy
No,
Grail.
no.
It's, 'tis but a flesh wound.
No.
He's missing his arm.
No, shut up,
Oh,
Jake.
I googled it. Dude.
Um,
You're talking about role models.
Yes, role models.
Yeah, I had a feeling.
In role
I
models,
googled
it
it.
is almost exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
I googled it. It looks wild.
So
At
people
this-
in my hometown did that shit all the time, and we like thought it was super nerdy, but we wanted to just hit people with swords. So
Yep.
we would go and like we would. What actually happened is, you guys will appreciate this story, and I swear I'll wrap it up after this. But my it turns out, and I don't know if this is a common thing because I'm not a big hunter, but my mom's boyfriend growing up, he was a big hunter, right? and they had this like foam sword that was like very dense. It was like packed hard foam. That it was apparently like the primary use of this thing was supposed to be like if you killed an animal but it wasn't all the way dead, you could like fucking whack it in the head with this thing.
The old bashing stick.
Yeah, essentially was what this was. So we didn't have these like soft foam swords that you're supposed to have for Bellegarth, but my mom's boyfriend had these fucking deer killing swords.
You guys went to
That shit was
Bellegarth
like a
with-
steel pipe with foam around it.
It's not even really
So we would
foam,
take
it's
those
just
and we would
soft
just
concrete.
go whap. Just fucking hit people with those things.
Oh my god.
So
At,
that's my
at the
last one.
at the school I used to work at, we had a Bellegarth club.
Yeah,
Like
they had it
kids
in my
would
school, too.
gather in the quad every
Yeah.
fucking week and just hit each other with shit.
All right, so since you said that, when I was at right out of high school, I went to a actual like institution before I joined the military, and
What kind of institution?
like a year and a half out of college.
Hmm.
Like I was in a dorm room. I was away from home for the first time. That kind of shit. The whole shebang. And I was convinced to go into a Nerf club, and we would get the science building, which it had an
Like Nerf
atrium
guns?
that and it went all the way up. It was actually just Nerf brand because dudes brought swords and you get whapped with some swords. All right. But that was like zombies. We'd play zombies, and the zombies had the sword, so you had to like touch with the sword, and then you could shoot the zombie. They'd have to reset. It was a lot of fun. We had the whole science building to ourselves. It was like 5 or 6 floors with this huge atrium, and you would just rip around playing different Nerf battles all night. And I'll be honest, that was really, really fun.
Dude, it's crazy how like serious people took Bellegarth. People used to like build like maces, like chain
Oh, yeah.
maces, but like the end of it was like foam and like the chain was made out of like string. I don't know. It was crazy what people would do.
I just Googled it. It was that one I did Google. It was worth it. That was
It was
wild.
pretty wild. Yeah, it is.
It
Pretty
just
wild.
reminds me of the old meme where the kid's just screaming lightning bolt and throwing like the
Lightning
fucking,
bolt.
the cornhole sack at somebody just screaming lightning bolt.
You know what
All
that
right,
makes me think of? Real quick. Did you guys ever see the red versus blue YouTube videos?
Yeah. Yep.
Hey guys, I
Dude.
found a blueberry. Bob, no! He throws a sticky grenade.
Do you ever play My Stick World? Yeah.
Yep.
Another
Dude,
same
it's
concept.
it's worth going to Netflix. Has the whole series from Cradle to Grave on Red versus Blue. It's like
Bombs World, dude.
it's like 10 seasons.
What?
Classic.
You
Found my next binge.
yes, huge. It's amazing.
I know what I'm doing in the office tomorrow.
I
I
watched
think I
it
tried to
when it
watch it
was
as an
on-
adult one time, and I didn't think it was as funny.
Dude,
Logan,
it's so good.
shut up.
Logan, write a campaign and get back to us.
Write a campaign and get back.
Has to have a
us for
lot of
Husbands-
marriage themes in this
Husbands
campaign.
and Dragons.
Yeah.
All right,
I'm
we're almost out of time. I'm gonna.
We
dive
can
into
go
my-
long. It's the
We can go
anniversary. We can throw back to the
long
old 1 hour and a half hour
We
episodes.
promised the viewers we were gonna try to get to an hour.
Yeah,
Actually,
it's
maybe-
the anniversary episode.
Maybe
That's
the
fine.
anniversary episode's your first actual hack at a 1 hour though.
We would be wrong then. We'd be losing. What do you mean?
I just mean like if you actually did it under 1 hour for the first time on your anniversary episode, that shows progress, right?
We like to devolve in this community.
All right, fuck
All
it.
right, and so that's the end of the episode. We're just gonna close out now.
All right, Kyle, let's hear it. We'll
I was
cap
going to
it
give you guys 2 options, but I decided now with time that I'm no longer going to do that. And Jake, this is another one that I'm not 100% sure if I've talked about it or not because I like had it in my list and I thought maybe I should have checked this before. So if I have, I will switch to the other topic. Just like I would like to know what is your favorite car that you have ever owned. And you can add on to this by saying first car if you want to. So like first car, favorite car. I'm cool with that too. But I want to know what car did you purchase that was your absolute favorite?
my current car. It's a 2015 Hyundai Genesis 3.8 sedan. It's pretty solid. It's technically a luxury vehicle, so really no
Hell yeah.
complaints. The only complaint is it doesn't have Apple CarPlay. It was the year before they allowed Apple CarPlay in Hyundai vehicles, so that kind of sucks. And it doesn't have blind spot monitoring. First world problems, definitely. But my wife's car has all of that, and I get a little jealous because hers is a 2016 Hyundai Tucson. But that's definitely my favorite car. The first car I ever had, though, was I want to say a 2002 Jeep Grand Cherokee, which was also that was my favorite car until I bought my current car.
I will never own a car again that does not have blind spots indicators. So car manufacturers out there, you have already lost my business if you don't put that on your vehicle standard.
Facts. I won't do it again.
Jed, what about you? Let's hear it.
I'm also gonna have to say my current vehicle is definitely my favorite vehicle. This is actually like a dream vehicle of mine. I got a 2020 Ram 1500. It's a Bighorn. It is a built to serve edition, so it's got the blackout around it. The interior's blackout. It's got like the Molly on the back seats and Velcro, and you can hang your
Molly
patches
on the back seats.
I was gonna say,
doing Molly. The Molly netting where you can like hang your
Yeah.
clip shit stuff too.
I don't know what that is.
I know what
All
he's
right,
talking about.
we'll
me.
Google it.
I'm
It's
gonna
like
Google it
the
right
it's
now.
like the it's like the web weave that
Molly
you can like.
netting.
Yeah, you'll see it. And
Really
it's blackout. It's got leather seats. It's got Jake. It's got an 8-inch screen with Apple CarPlay and a huge HD backup camera.
It's
and
like on the
awesome.
ceiling.
Well, here's the
No, it's on the back of the seats.
Oh,
It's on the back of the seats.
Here's why it's annoying for me though, Jed, is I have like a 7-inch entertainment screen
Just no Apple
on my car that doesn't support Apple CarPlay. If I had and actually, here's the super kicker of it. If I had the the technology package version of my car, I have the ultimate package, not the technology package, which is the technology's the lower package of the car. If I had that one, I could upgrade it. I could like put in you download like a little SD card with the software and upload it to the car. I could do that if I had the one worse version of my car.
Uncle Kyle, I appreciate that comment, but that's not a car. Try again. Give us a better one. He said his Harley was his favorite.
Right. I'm gonna expand on your topic a little bit because I don't give a shit.
Hold on,
if
let
we
me go
over
and then
a
I'll
few
let you
minutes.
do it.
Fine.
Because unlike you guys, I hate my current car. I am so eager to get rid of it.
I know
it's
that.
not even funny. I hate it.
Your car's fine. I've been in it.
It is
It's a
fine.
it's a
been
great
very
car.
reliable.
It's very
It is
solid.
Spacious. It's been fine. It doesn't matter. I hate it. I hate it. I've hated it almost since like the week after I bought it. Like I had some super bad buyer's remorse about it. Thankfully, it has been super reliable. I've had absolutely no maintenance on it. It's been great. It's an Impala, by the way. If anybody didn't know, it's 2014 Impala.
I hated my Impala.
I hate it.
I hated
All right.
my Impala.
So my very first car, which is debatably my favorite car, which I was working at a grocery store in high school, and I saved money, and I saved money, and I saved money, and then I had enough for like a $1,500 down payment on a car by the time I was 15, getting closer to 16, and then I got a loan, right? So I convinced my mom that I was making enough money to take out a loan, which the car was only. Oh my god, I fucking hate Carly's car even more.
I love Carly's car.
Carly's car kind of fucks.
I absolutely love it.
I hate her car more than mine is, and she knows it.
I
So
like
I can say
delivering
that.
her. I like
for the
delivering
world
her
to hear.
Starbucks in that car with the roof down.
It's an iconic photo. We'll put it on our Twitter later.
Oh, that'll be worth it.
But anyway, so I convinced my mom I'm making enough money. I'm gonna get this loan, right? This car that I'm gonna buy, it's only $5,000. So after a $1,500 down payment, it really wasn't that bad anyway, right? So this loan was like $100 a month, some shit like that, right?
Right.
It wasn't very expensive.
Nothing.
Right.
So anyway, the car that I bought when I was 15 years old, before I even had a license, was a 1996 Z28 Camaro with T-tops and a 6-speed.
That goes hard,
fucking
though.
Stupid
Yeah,
for a
dude.
teenager to have that car.
My
Well,
dad
that's
had that
talking
exact
about-
car.
It was the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Yeah, dude.
I
It was
loved that
awesome.
car. It was so fun to drive.
Yeah.
I knew how to drive a manual, and I thought I was super cool because of it. I washed that thing like twice a week. I wouldn't let the gas tank go below a half. Like I obsessed over that fucking vehicle. And
So what happened?
it started overheating. I ended up selling it. It just was like I took it to 4 or 5 different places, and they were like, "Oh, well, there's nothing wrong with it." I'm like, "Yeah, except for I'm about to blow a fucking head gasket because it's the temps through the roof." And they're like, "Oh, I don't really know what to do." So
Welcome
I
to a
gave-
Chevy, my guy.
Yeah, and I'm sure like somebody could have eventually figured it out, but I was young and dumb and didn't think about how I was going to regret selling it, and yeah, it wouldn't have moved very well anyway. Like I probably could have stashed it in the garage or something. And it had 119,000 miles on it. It's not like it was a low mileage vehicle, but anyway, that was maybe my favorite. But I think my favorite was probably the stupidest car that I've ever bought in my life, because I was
The 2014 Chevy Impala.
no, but pretty close.
Oh, okay.
Well, not close, but close to being the stupidest purchase I've ever made from a vehicle. But I was 18. I had gotten my first job that was actually paying pretty decent as like a full-time job. But it was also a job that I knew it would be pretty easy to get laid off from, or like not, it was not a stable,
Right.
what's the fucking word I'm thinking of? Why can't I think of this? I had no
Stable
job
income?
security. There we go.
Yeah.
I had no job security in this job, but I was making quite a bit of money. And so I was like, fuck it. I'm going to buy a car, right? I go to the dealership and I'm like, show me these nice vehicles, right? I'm going to fucking... And I thought about buying like a brand new Mustang or something stupid like, a young idiot would do. And then I decided to go even stupider. So I bought a 2008 BMW 335i 5-speed, and it was awesome. It was blacked out. I loved that fucking car.
Holy shit!
And
wow.
I remember when I'd put it in reverse and the mirror would move to show me the curb, and I was like, "Am I in space right now? This is a different world, right?" And I don't know. That car was amazing. I loved it. Stupidest purchase ever. I ended up getting laid off from the job. I couldn't afford the car anymore, and I sold it. So it was young, dumb decisions, but one of the most fun cars I've ever driven.
What's the most fun car you've ever driven?
Are you asking me to repeat the two things that I just said? Because
you've driven something like, what's the most like? You've driven something more fun.
Have I personally?
Yeah.
Other than my Camaro and my BMW? No, not really.
Really? Like you've never like a rental car or like a friend's car that you got to drive one time?
I always get terrible rental cars.
Oh, lucky you.
Lucky me.
Yeah, I've never rented a car in my life.
Have you really?
Imagine I haven't. I turned 25 after COVID.
Oh, I forgot about that. I've had a lot of rental cars. And
I've never rented a car.
Jed, what about you? Funnest car you've ever driven? I bet a Dodge Viper would be a lot.
That would actually be fucking wild.
I'm trying to think.
I've had my hands on a few like interesting vehicles, but I've never been like really like a huge car guy. I guess when I rent cars, I do try to like, especially if it's only for a few days, I'll pay up a little bit. And I've driven, like, remember when the brand new Camaro came out and it was like in the Transformers movies as like Bumblebee?
Yep, Bumblebee.
And and I had just graduated his school, and my parents flew down to Alabama in a brand new Camaro that they had rented, and I actually drove it for like a few hundred miles to Mississippi and then visit family and that kind of thing. So that was fun. But I'd have to say I was in Pensacola, Florida, and I was driving with the top down of this red Corvette. And
Corvette? Yeah, you wish.
No, sorry, no convertible. I meant to say convertible.
Pretty sure it's a Pontiac G6.
It's a 2007 Pontiac G6 convertible.
All I was saying is that I put my roof down at the red light. And
you sure did.
That song had just come out recently, and I delivered Starbucks to your wife.
Yes, you did. Like I said, I'll throw it on Twitter later for the
dude.
For the
I was
audience.
in Kyle's flight suit. That's
right. I forgot about that.
You can't really tell from the camera. This camera, you lose 10 pounds on the camera.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit bigger than Kyle, physically, and so I was like busting out of his medium flight suit.
Yeah,
and just like it was the only clothes I had, and I was just like, Carly, mocha latte, and she.
I do.
It was awesome.
I do agree with Uncle Kyle in the chat that Turo changes the rental game a little bit. I don't think a lot of people know about Turo still. So if you don't know what Turo is like the Uber of rental cars, or not the Uber,
the Airbnb.
Airbnb, yeah, Airbnb of rental cars, where you can just put your own car that is at least a certain age and has certain requirements, right? Like you can put it up and people can come and rent your car from you. That being said, I would never, ever, ever put my own vehicle on there.
Oh, no.
It sketches me the fuck out.
Yeah.
But I do think that Turo does a good job of supporting their drivers, which actually does sketch me out as a renter too, because rental companies are so established and they're like, oh, it's damaged. Who cares? No big deal. We have a whole fleet. Like it'll be like $100 deductible or whatever it is, or like your insurance will take care of it or whatever. There's no guarantee that your personal insurance will help you at all if you damage a Turo.
Yep.
And it sketches me out a lot.
And if they find out that you're driving or lending your car out.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So you do have to be very careful with Turo right now. We'll see what happens. I don't know.
# not a sponsor.
Yeah.
No free shout outs. Anyways, the coolest car that I've ever driven was have you guys seen the first Fast and Furious movie?
Hell yeah.
Kyle?
Which one?
The first Fast and Furious, like the Fast and the Furious.
Yeah.
Brian drives an orange Toyota Supra.
Yes, he does.
Oh, that's so
I drove a replica essentially of that. It was a full-blown Mark IV Toyota Supra, basically the same upgraded engine and everything like that. I drove that. I got pulled over in Iowa, and the cop let me go because he knew the guy who owned the car, and he just thought I stole it.
Oh.
Oh, shit.
So that's my fun story of my life. I got pulled over doing way too fast in that car. But if you know that car, you know how fast that car
it
can
kind
go.
of invites it. You know,
It was kind of
Yes.
meant to be.
Oh,
Guess what movie I fell asleep to last night?
The Fast and the Furious.
The Fast and the Furious. Ironically,
I
you
would-
bring that up.
I was driving that car.
And then I started watching Too Fast, Too Furious, and I remember how much I hate that movie. And how
I love that
is.
movie.
Too Fast and Too Furious is maybe the worst one in like the legacy franchise.
you know, I actually think that the Tokyo Drift might be the worst one, but it has the
I
best.
love
I
soundtrack.
hate Tokyo Drift.
I love
has to
Tokyo
be-
Drift.
This needs
It
to be a
has-
different topic for another time. We need to
it
bring
has
this back.
the-
We'll debate this.
We're gonna go through the whole series, so
Yeah, we'll come
bone
back
up
to
on
this.
your Harry Potters and your.
Stay
Fast
tuned
and
for the next time
Furiouses.
Jed comes back, and we'll talk through
We're
this.
gonna roll.
Okay, next time Jed is on, we're gonna do a themed episode of running through movie series. We're gonna do the Fast and Furious, Lord of the Rings, and Harry Potter.
I might have to
Dungeons
throw
and
Star Wars in there
Dragons.
too, and then I'm down. Yeah.
All right, perfect. There we go. That's our hour.
Hell yeah!
Maybe
Yep,
hour and a half.
and then,
Maybe it's a 2-part special.
That's an
Logan,
hour
you need to get
per
back to us
series.
and let us know when you have Husbands and Dragons ready.
But we can record that off live. Like we can just
Yeah,
do that.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right,
I'm available.
that's all I got. It's a quick, easy topic.
Awesome. Well, Jed, thank you so much for joining us for the 1-year anniversary special. Who better to have at our 1-year anniversary than our combined boyfriend? But
Fine, boyfriend.
every single person who has ever listened to this podcast, thank you so much for any of the support that you have ever given us. Kyle and I said it at the start of this episode. We were just two friends who wanted to have a couple beers each week and just talk about random shit that we don't get to talk about when we're playing video games.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we thank you for every second, every minute, every hour that you have listened to us. And we just appreciate all the support that you give us and will continue to give us going forward. Carly mentioned in the chat, maybe Logan should be a guest. He actually was a
He's
guest on
already
an
been
episode.
a guest. She doesn't know that.
Thanks for telling me you watch the episodes when your husband's not on it, Carly. Thanks.
Yeah, he's filled in for me a couple times. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
more than once. I believe. Right?
No,
Oh,
just
more than
one.
once.
It was just once, but we had to record it twice. That's another story for a different day.
Was he on my birthday draft episode? I thought he was on there too.
He was on the NFL draft like live stream that we did.
Oh, that's right. Okay, that was on a different.
But he was on an individual episode. Regardless,
All right.
thank you
Yeah.
everybody for all the support that you give us. I will let Kyle wrap it up, but I just want to say thank you so much for all of the love that you share with us, all of the comments that we get, all of the comments that we get on the live stream, all the interaction. It is so appreciated, and we look forward to another year. Honestly, we'll probably never quit this podcast unless Kyle starts to hate me for some reason. Then maybe we'll quit
hate
it.
you
But
now,
until then,
so
yeah, well, that's
I mean, if I was gonna hit you, quit because I hate you. It's too late.
fair. I've met me fair and can't argue. But thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Kyle and Jed, wrap it up.
Yeah, Jed, I'll let you say your piece. Thanks for coming on. It's been great having you as always. We have a ton of fun when we have guests, and it's always great to have ones that bring good topics and like to have good drinks with us too. So I'll let you do your piece, and then I'll close us out.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you guys having me on for a second time. It was really fun. I hope you guys enjoy the upgraded audio quality I'm providing.
Absolutely, sounds so good.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I listened to that episode and I cringed about 3 minutes in. I had to pause it and I bought a new mic.
Sounds like you're just
immediately.
hanging out in a pop can.
Hell yeah.
Fucking voice
Actually,
rattling
I don't
all
know
over
what
the
pop
place.
is. I'm from the Northeast. We drink soda. Anyways,
I'm from the Midwest. It's also soda. I don't get this pop
hell
thing.
No,
yeah.
it's
Yeah,
pop.
I
Jake's just an
appreciate
idiot.
you.
We debated this in the last episode.
All I was going to say was that you can find me at Jedediah.Boswell on Instagram. I still don't have Twitter, and I appreciate you guys having me on again. Thanks so much.
I'm not gonna lie, I really thought you were gonna say like jedediah.boswell@gmail.com, and I was gonna fucking die laughing because I was like, are you really gonna throw an email plug on the pod?
I own all of the Jedediah.Boswell interfaces.
I'm gonna
That was
need you
good.
to make a Twitter just because you're a recurring guest on this episode,
We
on
do
this
need to have a
podcast
Twitter, so
now,
we can throw your
and
Twitter
I need to
handle
just
up.
tag you.
You need to get after the Twitter game right
He's
now.
making
I'll-
it. He's making Twitter right
I'm gonna
now.
actually reactivate an old Twitter so I can see that picture because I don't have that
Yeah,
picture.
I'll throw it up there here in a little bit. Carly has
yeah.
it, and if I don't have it, I'll have her send it to me. But all right,
Appreciate it.
thank you everybody for joining us. It's been a year. We've had a ton of fun. We have missed some episodes here and there. Thank you for shifting the schedule with us all the time because we do have to. This isn't obviously our full-time job, so we have to schedule around a lot of different things to make this happen. and we still appreciate the wives. Shout out to the wives, by the way, of the husbands for letting us do this and take an evening and drink and talk to each other and hang out once a week, because this definitely eats away some time that could be spent on other things, right? So we have a lot of fun doing this though, and so we're happy to have you guys here. We'll do a final plug real quick for the social medias. So you can see Jake at Perry_FF on Twitter. And he's just Jake Perry on Instagram if you wanted to find him there.
Jacob Perry. Thank you.
Oh, sorry, Jacob Perry. And then you can find me at Kyle Andhursten spelled out. If you're on YouTube, you'll see it there or underneath my picture for my handle there for Twitter. For the Two Average Husbands stuff, though, you can find us at #2 ABG Husbands on Twitter and on Instagram. And then the Facebook is probably not really kept up that much, to be completely honest, but we are also just spelled out Two Average Husbands on Facebook.
We're going to get better, I promise. I think.
We try. If we ever get big enough, we'll just hire somebody to do this for us or whatever. Or if somebody wants to, like, in their free time, manage social media for us, let us know, because I hate doing it, to be completely honest.
That lazy bastard. He's ready to manage a social media page.
Yeah, that's right. I'm not a social media person. I've become more of a social media person because of this podcast. It's not something that I enjoy doing. So if somebody else wants to do it, feel free to do it. But anyway, thank you for joining us. It's been a year. We've had a ton of fun. We've gained a lot of guests. We've gained a lot of followers. Even though, like I said, we're not huge, we do have a lot of fun bringing everybody on. And keep hopping in the comments, because it makes it the absolute best to see everybody in the comments hanging out there and interacting with us. That is all I have. It's been great seeing you. Jake, I know you have your tagline that you're going to have to throw out here, so I'll let you do that, and then we'll close.
Thank you, everybody, again. And as always, make sure you tell somebody you love them.
Peace.